Cetulakunamarjanam Bhavamahadavagninirvakanam Shriya Kairava Chandrakavitaranam Vidyavadurivanam Anandam Gurivardhanam Pratipadam Puranamritasvaram Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Hi Krishna. So we've got a very special guest today who needs no introduction. His Holiness Swami Keshava Maharaj. Hi Krishna Maharaj.
Hi Krishna, Gopal, Haribo.
So, I mean, you could tell us how your marathon's going, give us some inspiration for book distribution. And also maybe, I also had one of my questions was, because you have so much responsibility as you're taking on more responsibility with Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. So someone could say, well, why even still go out on the street? Surely you don't need to do that anymore. You can leave that to the younger guys. And so what makes you still want to go out? So if you could,
thanks, Gopal. Well, before I begin, I just wanted to say thanks to you. Like, I feel like there's such a unity that's been built over the last months amongst the different temples and Sankirtan devotees. There's such a nice spirit, and it's so all embracing. Like, I kind of see like the different devotees that you've invited onto the podcast, and it's so beautiful to see how everyone participates and everyone can be a part of it. And I think just to take this opportunity to embarrass you on the podcast, I think a lot of it is down to you. I think all your years of Sankirtan have like softened, like you probably already had a soft heart, but it's softened it even more. And no, I just really wanted to say I appreciate that deeply. I think wherever there's unity and mutual appreciation, genuine, miracles happen, and I feel like that's happening. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And yeah, I'm back. I've been away for a few months, so I was in the US just studying. I went back to university for a little while just to develop myself, just to see what new avenues we can open up for sharing Krishna consciousness. And it was always my plan to come back for the marathon. And why do I keep coming back for the marathon? I would say there's two main reasons. I think the first reason is, for me, like, and for all of us, our life is to try to share Krishna with others. And I feel like when I go out on the street, I really connect with the humanity of preaching. And what I mean by that is that sometimes my preaching, whatever service I'm able to do, is like in front of a camera, or it's in front of massive audiences, and it's like a kind of mass type of sharing, which is beautiful. But I really feel like it's so important to connect with people one-to-one, because otherwise preaching can just become about numbers, about a mass kind of communication, and we lose the heart of it, the humanity of it. And I find when I go onto the street and just speak to people, hear what they're going through in their lives, it really connects me with what I'm doing. Like, these are real people with real lives, with real challenges, with real hopes and dreams, and what we're trying to do is help them. So I feel like Sankirtan really gives me that human touch. And I think the other reason I always come back and try to do the marathon and try to do book distribution is I just feel indebted. I feel like my spiritual life was so much built from book distribution. I was never a massive book distributor in terms of numbers, but I tried to go out steadily for quite some years. And I always share with people that I feel like book distribution was the school of life for me. Everything that I never learned in school, everything that I never learned in university, even things that I never learned in classrooms in a Hare Krishna temple or in lectures in a Hare Krishna temple. I learned it on the street, distributing books. And what did I learn on the street? I think the first thing I learned on the street is how to communicate. How to, like, I think communication is like the number one life skill. It's like what we do all the time. And if you want to learn how to communicate, there's no better way to do it than on the street, because you're stopping hundreds of people every day from every conceivable background, and they're busy, and you got to be able to communicate the essence of what you want to say to them in a way that's inspiring, endearing, and convincing. And you really learn how to communicate. So I feel like I learned how to communicate. I feel like on book distribution, I learned how to be committed. And I think that's also a huge life skill, because I think in life we just give up too easily when we're trying to do something. And on Sankirtan, you have to be committed, because it's like, no. Sometimes you've been there, you can be hours and nothing's happening, and you have to be committed, and you have to keep pushing on, and you have to dig deep. And I felt like through book distribution, I learned what it means to just keep going and not give up. And that helped me so much in my life. So commitment, they're all C's actually. So I'll give you the other last few. The third thing I learned on book distribution is how to be confident, which I think is a huge thing that we lack in our life. Like, I feel like devotees have so much that they're meant to do, but they have self-doubt and they don't have confidence. And what I found about book distribution is that you get confidence because you experience Krishna. It's like Krishna shows up, he backs you up, he creates miracles, he gets you out of like the worst days and turns it around. And you build your confidence because you realize, you know what, Krishna's there, and at any moment Krishna can appear, and at any moment Krishna can change it. And I really feel like of all the preaching services I've done, the kind of reciprocation that you get in terms of Krishna just being there, I can't think of many situations in which it was more intense than on book distribution. It's very real. And so I felt like it gave me a lot of confidence to try things, knowing that Krishna will show up, Krishna will help. The fourth thing that I think I learned on Sankirtan was to be compassionate, which I think is a huge thing. Like Bhakti-tirtha Maharaj once, he said, the goal of a devotee is to touch as many hearts as possible. And I always like that. Like, nowadays people say, like, what's your 5-year goal? What's your 10-year goal? And I'm just like, that's it, to touch as many hearts as possible. And you can't touch hearts unless you have a soft heart, unless you're compassionate. And I feel like I'm quite hard-hearted, but on the street, my heart softened just by interactions, by seeing people. Sometimes I was humbled by people's saintliness on the street and exposed that these guys are like far more in one sense than me. And it was very beautiful. Today I was just speaking, I was in Birmingham, Birmingham city centre. You've been there. It's called the Bull Ring, and it feels like a bull ring. It was just like chaos, absolute chaos. But yeah, I stopped this one homeless person, and sometimes I just speak to people and try to understand like what's going on in these people's lives. It was like freezing, it was cold. I was like, this person is living out on the street, like, like this is not right, And so I just spoke to this person, trying to understand what they're going through, and it softens your heart to know that we're so fortunate. We've received so much, and there are so many people out there who need hope. So I feel like I learned compassion on Sankirtan, and yeah, the final C I learned on Sankirtan was how to connect with Krishna. Sometimes we struggle connecting in japa. Sometimes we struggle connecting when we're in front of the deities. Sometimes we struggle even connecting when we turn up in the Dham and we're kind of feeling like, I don't know, I don't feel so Krishna conscious. But I feel like on the street, I was able to find connection with Krishna, a real dialogue, a real exchange. And that helped me in my life in so many ways, to know that you're never alone. Like, you can always speak to Krishna. So that's, I guess, why I come back and do this activity, because I feel like I owe so much of my life, because it taught me how to communicate, how to be confident, how to be compassionate, how to connect, all of these things. So yeah, I guess that's my little spiel. I could speak more. I don't know if you want to ask a question. I guess it goes on for like 10 minutes or something, 15 minutes. You tell me when we have to eject.
Well, we can finish in a few minutes, but I just want to reflect on. I really like those 5 C's.
Yeah.
That should be you should write that down. You should, you probably have written it down somewhere, right? Or is that just in your?
Yeah. No, I've like I crystallize. My mind works like a maths brain, so I structure everything. So yeah, it's like, but that's what I boiled it down to. Yeah, those 5 things. I think those are what I learned. Yeah.
Would you say? I mean, do you see is there any noticeable differences in yourself from when you go out on the street today to when you were going out on the street when you were first, trying your hand at it? How do you feel you've grown?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Yeah. I feel, I hope I'm not being presumptuous, but I feel like it's more personal now. Jayabhadra Mataji, and Prabhupada disciple in Radhadesh, she once said something. Sometimes devotees just make a one-liner and it just like, it stays with you. And she was giving a class and she said, real Sankirtan begins at the moment when you're on the street and you realize, I haven't come here to take anything from anyone. I've only come here to give. And I thought, that's so profound. And I feel like, I hope I'm moving in that direction. I feel like in the beginning, I feel like I was sincere. I wanted to please Prabhupada. It was hard for me, book distribution, but Prabhupada said it so much. I was like, I got to do this. This is what Prabhupada wanted. So it was hard, and I feel like I was sincere, but I still feel like I was trying to take something. I was trying to take a sense of, obviously, a score or a number, or a sense of just I'm worth something. Like I'm valuable. I'm part of this. Like which I think isn't, and all these things I don't think are necessarily bad. But nowadays, when I go, I feel like it's shifted and it's less about me. I hope. Good days and bad days, but yeah, it's really when I stop a person, I just really try to be with that person's life and just try to help people. And it's funny because when you do that, everything else comes anyway. Like all the other things that we measure ourselves by, So I feel like, yeah, it's more personal. I don't have set lines now. Not that I think set lines are bad. I think we all begin in that way. I feel like I'm more spontaneous. I feel like I'm more personal. And I feel like I connect with people for who they are. And in that way, I feel Sankirtan becomes a two-way thing. Previously, I feel like Sankirtan was really about me giving someone something. And now I feel like I go out and I learn, so I get so much back from people because it really is a personal interaction. So yeah, as I said, I hope I'm not being presumptuous. I feel it's moving in that direction.
You know, all of these podcasts, doing these podcasts every day, speaking to all these different wonderful devotees from all over our community has just been so enlightening. And it's every episode I'm reminded why I fell in love with Sankirtan.
Yeah.
I'm such a fruitive, passionate, ignorant person that I always I forget it quite easily. And just hearing what you're saying now about him.
Yeah, just I'm sorry to kind of butt in, but just while the thoughts on my mind, like I began this podcast just by sharing some appreciation of you, and I feel like, yeah, you, as I've known you more, I knew you only from a distance, and perhaps we've had a bit more interaction. And what's really occurred to me, I'm an observer of people. I'm very judgmental, you know. But what I've really seen is that you actually have a really soft heart, and that's something for me that's like a massive quality. And I feel Sankirtan has also softened my heart. Like sometimes we're harsh. When you have a hard heart, you're harsh. But on Sankirtan, you can't be harsh. You have to be the polar opposite. Otherwise, no, you can't do it. You know, like sometimes a manifestation of a hard heart is you're a bit impersonal. But when you're on Sankirtan, you got to get personal with people. Like you got to be interested. Otherwise, it doesn't work. When you're hard-hearted, you can be like judgmental of people. But on Sankirtan, you always have to look for the good and try and spark it. And I feel like it's just made me so much more. You know, the Bhagavatam says, like, if you don't cry when you chant and if your hairs don't stand on end, then you must have a steel-framed heart. And I feel like Sankirtan is just something which softens your heart. And then when you engage in spiritual activity, you're more susceptible to like experiencing real spiritual emotion. And yeah, just one final thing I often share with devotees is sometimes, you know, there's those moments when you're in a kirtan and then you close your eyes and you're meditating. And so like sometimes devotees have asked me, like, what do you meditate on in a kirtan? And, you know, there are beautiful deities, there are, you know, there's the Dham, there's all these amazing Vaishnavas, and all of these images could easily come up in my mind. And the amazing thing is sometimes I'm in a kirtan and what comes up in my mind is a Tuesday afternoon in a rainy Burnley high street where the guy in front of you is like frying burgers all day, and you just meet someone and it just feels like Krishna is right there. Because I have to say, like, the most emotional experiences, you know this more than me probably, you know, that these are emotional experiences on Sankirtan. You know, it's like sometimes people, sorry, I'm going on, but sometimes people ask about, like, can you tell us a Sankirtan story? And what they really want to hear is something mystical. And those are beautiful. But actually, sometimes for me, it's just been a moment where you meet someone and you're speaking to them, and it almost feels like the whole world just freezes and it's just you and that person. And you actually become very emotional. You're like, wow, this person is beautiful. This is beautiful. What we're giving them is beautiful. Everything's beautiful. The street just turns into like, so yeah, so it's the greatest blessing, you know, Prabhupada gave us to do this activity. Yeah. And, thank you to all of you for encouraging, supporting, and
Thank you, Maris. That was really nice. Again, and also I just want to echo, I've had the similar, in fact, I think last time I was in Mayapur, I was on the roof. Shiva Swami was doing these amazing kirtans, and we're in Mayapur, and I think, and this was like Nityananda Triyodashi or something. But I had the same thing. I was meditating, and just my heart had the most profound experience when I was thinking of Queen Street in Cardiff outside Marks and Spencer's, I think, well, oh, yeah. So, and one thing you said, this is years ago in a marathon festival, and you spoke some words. But it always stuck with me. And you said how you've had the privilege to go to the Dham many times, and you've had so many sort of opportunities to go to so many spiritual environments. But you said that you always felt the closest to Krishna when you were just on the high street outside the shops speaking to people, and that always stuck with me. And I always repeat that to others because I thought that was a real special point.
Yeah, it's all Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, and I remember we had different Sankirtan leaders in our time, so each one had their approach, you know. So there was one Sankirtan leader who was like, get us in a huddle, and then it would be like, all right, guys, it's hard out there, it's tough, but you know, it's a duty and Prabhupada. And I don't want to knock that. That's also true, you know, that we do it out of duty. We do it because Prabhupada, you know, wanted it, and that is that I don't want to sound like that's any less of a motivation, but that was his approach. And then we had another Sankirtan leader, and he just got everyone in a huddle, and he was like, all right, guys, now we're going to go out into Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And I always connected more with that one than the other one. Not to say the other one's bad, but it really is. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in a beautiful verse, Adyapiha Shay Leela Kaha Gaura Roy Kona Kona Bhagyavan Deki Bharapo. He says Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are going on even today. And but you have to become Bhagyavan, you have to become very fortunate, and then you can you see it all happen. So yeah, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about Sankirtan, like also just mirroring your dedication. And really I would have liked to hear you, because I'm sure you have so much to share, but yeah, it's always beautiful to talk about this activity.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anytime you want to talk about Sankirtan,
Yeah.
send you a link and we'll.
Well, yeah, all the best to all the devotees out there. It's the last few days. These are really beautiful days. Everyone's rushing around and looking for something. So yeah, we always got hyped up about these last few days on the book distribution marathon, because they felt like they were extra. I think the original marathon was only these 3 days, right? Like, right? It was something like that, if I remember the story. So yeah, it's like you have Kartik, and then you have like Bhishma Panchaka at the end when everyone just goes like. So it's like you have the marathon and then these last 3 days. So yeah, thank you.
Jai. Thank you, Maharaj.
Glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta